Welcome to Sunday Restorative Yoga. We'll get started in our usual 5-minute meditation. So if you want to have a blanket under your sits bones, you can get yourself set up there. And I just want to offer one other option tonight. If you want to have one of your pillows supported in Virasana, so you can bring your knees to either side of the pillow and then sit with the knees kind of wide here, just for a gentle thigh opener. Wherever you feel comfortable tonight, just get yourself set up there. And then root down into the sits bones as you draw the crown of the head up toward the ceiling. Allow the eyes to close and the shoulders to gently roll back. Hands can come wherever they're comfortable, on the thighs or in the lap. Or even bringing the hands over the heart center. And allow yourself to bring the attention to your breath. Noticing any qualities of the inhale and exhale. Notice where the breath travels. If there's any place in the body where the breath is getting stuck or flowing freely, just notice. And then release any tension from the belly. So allow the belly to be its full expression of itself. Maybe coming over the waistband of your pants. And as you inhale, fill your belly up. And as you exhale, let it stay full as the breath gently exits through your nose. And if you're working with a mantra tonight, invite that mantra in. If you're not, you can start with, on the inhale, saying, I am. And then a quality that you would like to embody. Love, joy, abundance, whatever that is for you today. Or you can always just gently repeat to yourself, inhale and exhale. So I'll be quiet for a few minutes here as we sit in a silent meditation. For these last few moments of meditation, once again, clear the mind, focusing on your mantra or simply on your breath. Inhale, exhale. And we'll start our practice with 3 deep inhales and open mouth exhales together. So you can keep your eyes open or closed. As you inhale, you'll sweep the arms up overhead. And as you exhale, really open mouth. You can even stick the tongue out or make noise and bring the hands back to heart center. So we'll do 3 of those together. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Last one. Inhale deeply and really exhale. Bring the hands over the eyes. Gently flutter the eyes open if they aren't already. Begin to take the light in the room. And then allow the hands to come down by the sides. And you can stay up on a prop if you're up on one, or you can take a moment to remove that. Whatever you decide to do, just take a moment to root down in the sits bones and maybe move some flesh out of the way. From here, inhale the arms up and overhead, and exhale to twist over toward the right. Left hand finds the right knee. And gaze can go toward the side of the room or over your back shoulder. Come back through center, sweep the arms up and overhead. And exhale, twist over to the left. You can use your back hand as a kickstand to keep you a little more upright. And then gaze can go wherever it feels comfortable on the neck. Inhale the arms up and overhead. And this time just drop the right palm down over to the side and reach up and over with the left arm, getting a nice stretch in the left side body. Gaze can go up under the arm or down toward the mat. And then inhale that right arm up and overhead and take that stretch over to the other side. Just slowly awakening each side of the body. And then sweep both arms up and overhead. And just switch the cross of your legs, or if you're in Virasana, you can stay right where you are. And we'll do the same moves again. Exhale over to the right, find that twist. Maybe this time, if you didn't the first time, you look over that back shoulder. And on every exhale, maybe twisting just a little bit deeper. Inhale the arms back up and overhead. Gaze can follow this time up toward the fingertips. And exhale over toward the left. Again, maybe sending that gaze over the back shoulder. And focusing more on the twist through the core, feeling it through the lower back. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Gaze can follow. And then drop the right arm to the side, left arm up and overhead. Maybe take the opposite gaze this time. So it was up under your arm last time, send it down to the mat this time, and vice versa. Inhale the arms up and overhead. This time drop the chin down to the chest, just feeling the length in the back of the neck. Keep the shoulders away from the ears, maybe even rolling them gently back down your back. And then the head can rise, coming back to center as you drop the left arm, right arm comes up and over. Again, switching the gaze. And inhale the arms up and overhead. And exhale, release the arms down by the side. Keep the arms nice and long, maybe coming up onto those fingertips. And then just move your chin over toward your left shoulder, rotating your head. And bring it back to center and turn your head the other way. Come back to center. This time, drop the cheek over toward the left shoulder. Feel the stretch in that right side of the neck. Come back to center and drop the right cheek over toward the right shoulder. And from here, just drop the chin down toward the center of the chest, taking some half circles from side to side. Moving nice and slow. And the next time the chin comes back down toward the center of the chest, gently raise it back up, re-extend through the spine, through the crown of the head. Bring the arms out to a T here and then cactus the arms. And really pull the shoulder blades together on your back. As you inhale, you'll bring the fingertips overhead to touch, elbows stay bent. And as you exhale, you can bring the elbows down toward the side waist. Inhale the arms up and overhead. And exhale them down toward the side waist. Just moving with your breath. We'll take just a few rounds of this. Keep the shoulder blades moving toward one another. And then just finish the round that you're on, bringing the elbows toward the waist, and then back out to a cactus, and then bring the arms back out to a T, really extending through the fingertips, and then back down to your side. From here, we're gonna use, actually we're not gonna use that. Just extend your right leg long and bend the left leg so that the sole of the foot comes to the inner thigh here. Gently twist toward that right leg, flex through the toes, and sit up nice and tall. Slowly begin to walk the fingertips forward, keeping that long spine, and finding a stopping point. And then just allowing the breath to take you incrementally deeper as we stay here for several rounds of breath. In these yin poses, let's keep the energy flowing through the body by flexing through the toes, hugging the shoulder blades together behind you, and then hinging through the hips to get just a little bit closer to that straightened leg. Always listening to your body and stopping wherever it feels really good. You know you're at your edge, and soften in. We'll take 2 more breaths here. And then you can drop the crown of the head toward the knee, rounding through the spine and slowly dragging the fingertips back in to round all the way up. Head rises last. And we'll take a half rock star here. So bring that left arm behind you. You can point through your straightened leg toes and begin to rise up onto that bent shin and knee. Right leg is long, arm up and overhead. On the next exhale, slowly sit yourself back down. Once again, finding that forward fold, flex through the toes. And we'll take a few rounds of this half rock star to one-legged forward fold. So sweep the arm around, up and overhead. And exhale to release. Inhale to rise. And exhale to release. Last time. And release it back down. Find yourself in that forward fold. We'll stay here for a few more rounds of breath. Stay long through the spine and flexed through the toes. And then drop the crown of the head, round the spine, and rise back up. Head rises last. Stay nice and gentle through these transitions. We're just gonna switch the legs coming onto the other side. So the left leg straightens out. And the right foot is bent so that the sole of the foot comes to the thigh. Really flexing through the toes of the straightened leg. Just twist slightly over to that thigh. Straighten up through the spine, through the crown of the head, and then hinge at the hips to fold forward. Noticing how it feels different from side to side. And just honor that difference without judgment. Use the breath to allow the body to soften in, maybe taking this pose just a little bit deeper. Just a couple more breaths here. See if you can soften in a little bit further. And then drop the crown of the head, round through the spine to rise back up. From here, sweep the right arm back behind you, using it as a kickstand on your fingertips or on your palm, and then rise up into that half rock star. Hips pointing toward the side wall, and really feeling that stretch along the side body. On the next exhale, lower back down, finding that forward fold, flexing through the toes. And then we'll take a flow through this a few times. Inhale up to rock star. And exhale to come back down, forward fold. Inhale to rise up. And exhale to forward fold. One more time. Inhale to rise up. Really feeling that stretch in the side body. Pressing through the hips. And then lower it back down. We'll hold this forward fold for a few rounds of breath. And then drop the crown of the head, round through the spine as you rise up. From here, take the soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana. Just give your wings a little shake here. Just gently feeling into the hips and into the legs. And then come to stillness. Roll the shoulders back, shoulder blades together. And then bring the hands to the outer edges of the thighs, just to bring the knees together for a moment. And give yourself a big hug here around the shins, dropping the head toward the knees, getting into a tiny ball here. Release that hug and sweep your legs to one side, finding yourself in a tabletop pose the other way. So wrists are under shoulders and knees under hips. Take a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhale to drop the belly, lift the gaze. And exhale to round the spine, drop the crown of the head. Take these at your own pace. Feel free to hold for an extra round of breath in any place that feels like it needs a little more attention. When you finish the round you're on, just come back to center, neutral spine. Send the right leg long behind you, pointing through the toes, evening the hips so that they're both pointed down toward the mat. And then step that right foot through for a low lunge. So set yourself up here so that your knee is in line with your ankle. And the back knee, the left knee, is on the ground. If you want to grab your pillows, if the mat feels really far away, you can use one pillow on either side of your foot as a little bit of lift. And then allow the body to soften and sink in here as we open up that left hip flexor. And over the next round of breath, just sweep that right leg back, coming back into tabletop, palms plant on the mat. Take one round of cat-cow. Meeting back in the center with a neutral spine. And then send that left leg long behind you, point through the toes and level the hips. And then sweep that left leg through in between the hands, repositioning as necessary to get the knee above the ankle. And then find that low lunge on this side. Softening through the right hip flexor, allowing the body to sink down toward the mat to open up. Be mindful of the shoulders. If they're inching toward your ears, allow them to drop and roll back. And over the next breath, bring that leg back, finding yourself in tabletop, and maybe give your hips a little shake back and forth, or move in any other way that your body is asking for. And we'll take one more yin pose here. Come into child's pose by bringing the toes together, knees as wide as your mat, arms out long. And we'll take a thread the needle child's pose here. So you'll bring the right arm underneath the left. Allow the right shoulder to drop down toward the mat and the right cheek to drop down toward the mat. And we'll spend several breaths here. You can keep that top arm long in front of you, or you can sweep it around behind you for a little bit more shoulder opening. But just stay wherever feels gentle for your body. Allow yourself to soften in here for the last few breaths in this pose. And then bring the left arm back out in front if it isn't already. And unwind the right arm, bringing both arms long in front of you. Allow the forehead to come down to the mat. And then we'll move to the other side. So the left arm sweeps underneath the right arm as the left shoulder lands on the mat and the left cheek comes down to the mat. Notice if you're holding any of that tension in your belly, really allow it to drop in between your thighs so that you can fully surrender to the pose. And if it's calling to you, you can sweep the right arm up and over, just finding that bind. And if your right arm isn't already long in front of you, send it back out. And then slowly unwind the left arm, coming back into the child's pose. And then rise back up into table. And I lied, we're actually gonna do one more little bit of a movement pose, a little bit more of a yin pose before we move into our restorative. So come down onto your forearms and send the legs long behind you. We're gonna come into plank pose. Into Sphinx pose, sorry. So really press into the forearms to stay lifted out of the shoulders. And then zip the legs up behind you. And slowly begin to rock onto your left hip as the right foot comes up and over, getting this lower back stretch, lower back release. So find where it feels okay for your right foot to go. Maybe it taps all the way on the other side of your left leg, but you're staying in the Sphinx pose in the top half of your body. And then slowly roll back to center. Find your Sphinx pose again, press into the forearms. And then we'll find that pose to the other side. So this time you'll press your right hip into the mat as you begin to roll over, bringing that left leg over the right, maybe tapping it on the ground behind you. So feel that lower back release. One more breath here, press into the forearms. And then slowly, slowly roll back over. And lower down, bringing the forearms under your forehead like a little pillow. Just give those hips a little rock back and forth. And then you can bring your hands to push-up height and just come up to your knees as we get set up for our first restorative pose. And we're actually gonna do a supported Sphinx pose. So get one of your pillows, come up to the top of your mat, and the pillow will kind of go under your armpits as you send the legs long behind you again. And if you have another pillow handy, just depending on kind of what props you're using and what feels good for your body. So we're getting this back bend here. You might bring a pillow out in front of you to lay your forehead on. And you can keep your hands in Sphinx position, or you can wrap them around the pillow. Again, whatever is feeling good for your body today. And then allow the pillow to really support you under your armpits. Really relaxing in here. And this should feel like a nice, gentle back bend. So we'll be here for a few minutes. Know that these poses should never be painful. You should feel really supported, and as if your breath can be its natural inhale and exhale. If anything doesn't feel right, you can try a smaller prop or removing the prop altogether, or you can feel free to chat me as well. As we stay in these poses for several minutes, just notice If you can surrender in a little bit more, know that that prop is there to support you. So allow it to bear your full weight. Unfurrow the third eye between your eyebrows and release the jaw. We'll begin to slowly transition out of this pose. So bring your palms in front of your support pillow. You can slowly begin to press into the palms, straightening the arms, and then bending the knees to come back into tabletop. And then just come back to sit on your heels as we set up for the next pose. So really move slowly as we get into the deep fascia of the body and into the nervous system here. We're gonna set up for supported Baddha Konasana. So you'll have one pillow the width of your mat, and then one pillow over it, like a little ramp. And then you'll take your towel or blanket and roll it up into a little snake. And then once you're ready, you can scoot yourself up close to your pillow here. So your hips are really right up against that pillow. And then bring the feet together. So the soles of the feet are together, and you can have the feet out further away from you, or you can bring them in close to you, whatever feels okay for your body. And that blanket will come up and over the ankles and just wrap around the bottom of the ankles. Depending on how long your blanket is, you might have a tail that comes through. So that should be supportive of the legs. If you need more support, you can bring a blanket or a block underneath your thighs as well. And then slowly lower yourself back down onto your ramp, making sure that your head is on the ramp and fully supported. And if it feels a little too soft, like mine does today, I'm just gonna bring another blanket underneath my head so that I feel supported in the head and neck. And then gently bring the shoulder blades together underneath your body and the arms out to the side with the palms face up. Allowing for a little bit of a heart opener here. And bring the eyes to close. Once again, returning to that natural inhale and exhale. And allowing the body to surrender as the knees track toward the earth. And the back is supported by the pillows. The jaw and face soften. And the head is heavy into the supports behind you. And if the mind begins to wander or gets too chattery, just focus on your mantra or focus on your inhale and exhale. Clearing your mind and allowing yourself the gift of this hour to reset your nervous system and your body. Over the next few breaths, you can begin to straighten one leg at a time, moving that blanket out of the way. And then draw the knees up toward the ceiling, soles of the feet on the mat. And roll over to one side, gently pushing yourself back up to seated, just to get set up for the next pose. You can move your pillows out of the way. And then have a folded blanket or towel. This is going to go under your knee. So you'll come onto your belly. And we're going to take kind of a tree pose here. So you'll bend one leg. So the right leg will stay nice and long and just let it be effortless behind you. And then bend through the left knee and just use that towel maybe to bring it up as close to your armpit or lower, whatever is going to feel good for you. And you can cross the hands in front of you or bring that rolled blanket that we just used for Baddha Konasana underneath your forehead. And so you should feel this just slightly in your left hip. And just a reminder to really relax through those shoulders. If it feels like you're a little too propped up on your hands, you can just turn your cheek one way so that your cheek is on your mat. And then we'll begin to transition out of this pose, just sending that left leg long behind you, allowing both hip points to connect with the mat. Maybe give them a little rock back and forth. Move the blanket to the other side of the mat as you bend through the right leg and finding the right position for your leg on this side. Maybe it's lower, further away from the armpit than it was on the other side, or maybe it's a little deeper. Allowing yourself to once again to settle into this pose. And see if there's any place where you can surrender a little bit more into the earth, into your props. Over the next few breaths, you can begin to straighten the right leg back behind you. Give the hips a little rock from side to side. And then just flip yourself over onto your back. Bend the knees so that they're pointed toward the ceiling and the soles of the feet are on the ground. I am going to go over a couple of minutes today. So if you need to hop off, thank you for coming. Make sure to take a Shavasana for yourself at some point this evening. But we're just gonna do a little figure four here, crossing the right ankle over the left thigh. And then you can either stay here or draw that figure four into the body for 5 rounds of breath. Bring the left foot back to the mat. And the arms either out to a T or out to cactus. And just roll that right foot over, finding the right foot on the mat behind you for a figure four twist. So that figure four is over to the left and gaze is over toward the right. You can even use your left hand to gently press the bent knee away from the body. And then rock the legs back to center and uncross the legs. We'll take that figure four to the other side. Cross the left ankle over the right thigh. And you can either stay right here or you can draw the figure four in close to the body. Either way, we'll be here for 5 full rounds of breath. Allow the spine to connect with the mat here. And then release the right foot back to the mat. Bring the arms out to cactus or a T. And bring the left foot over to find the ground beside the mat. Gaze over toward the left shoulder. And maybe use your right hand just to apply a little pressure to that left leg, tracking the left knee up toward the ceiling. Bring your figure 4 back to center. Uncross the legs. And then hug both knees into the chest, maybe giving a little rock from side to side or taking some knee circles one way and then the other. Just allowing that lower back to release from our back bends and our twists. And if there's any other pose or shape that you would like to take, please take a moment to do that. And when you're ready, release your body into Shavasana. Maybe bring a pillow underneath your knees, since we did do a lot of lower back work. Or if you're near a wall, you can take the legs up the wall. And once you arrive in Shavasana, allow the eyes to come to a gentle close and the eyeballs to relax back into the sockets. Allow the feet to splay open. And the hips to melt into the ground. Shoulders relax and release. And allow the jaw and the tongue to relax. Fully surrendering into Shavasana. Take a few more rounds of breath in your Shavasana. Use this time, if there's any place that you're still hanging on to anything, use the breath to surrender. And then on the next inhale, send the breath all the way down to the belly and fully fill it up. Gently exhale the breath back out through the nose. Take some movement in the fingertips or toes. And when you're ready, roll over to one side, taking at least a full round of breath in fetal position. When you're ready, we'll meet in a seated position with eyes closed and hands at the heart center.